Welcome back to Creating Cooperative Kids. I'm your host, Bill Corbett. If you're just joining us, regular viewers know that I use this last segment to answer viewer questions that come into my email box. Now, to send me your parenting questions, simply send an email to questions@cooperativekids.com, and perhaps I'll select yours on a future episode. First, let me introduce my panel of guests from left to right. First is Tara Kennedy-Kline. She's a certified parenting expert and radio and TV personality and author of the parenting book, Stop Raising Einstein. Kian Jacobs is a licensed clinical social worker in private practice who works closely with both children and adults. And Betel Arnold is a parent and an author and a speaker on issues affecting female teens and young adults. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you, Bill.
So I've asked you to come back on the show to help me answer some of these questions. And so all four of us will kind of throw in there. If you don't have a response, that's okay. You can say pass. But offer what you think the best way to answer these viewer questions. So here's the first one. Is there something wrong with me that I sometimes don't like my child?
Oh, my goodness.
I imagine every parent suffers from feeling that, correct? Who wants to take that?
I would say if you don't feel that way, something is wrong. Because I can't imagine a parent that sometimes doesn't feel that, because children don't always act the way that, no one acts the way they're supposed to all the time. So if they do something that you just really don't like at the time, I think that's just very normal.
And I think it's important to express to them that I will love you unconditionally forever, but right now I don't like the way you're acting.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to also look at where they're at developmentally. Do they have hormones rushing through their body? That you may be overreacting to something and blowing something up that really could just be minimized and kind of shut down very quietly, that there may not be a need to react.
And we have a teenage girl at home still, and I think oftentimes we don't like her the way things are, because she kind of creates the temperature for the home for each day, but that's another story. All right, so it's okay. The point is, it's to the viewer, it's okay. Don't feel guilty that you just don't like your child. We always love our children, but sometimes we just don't like them. And I suggest, if you're having a difficult moment, get somebody to help you. Take over. Go take a break, because if we take a walk around the block or do whatever we have to do to just kind of let our hair down and go away from, when we come back, it looks different, and we realize that our emotions were getting the best of us, right?
And the other piece with kids is if they're at a stage where they're heading off to high school or they're heading for college a year later, they might start preparing to leave the nest in some ways, and they will act out, and it feels better sometimes to leave when you're angry than it is when you're all getting along and loving each other. It's easier to leave and walk out the door. Yeah. So some of it plays that out, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that our children understand that it's okay to not like things about people every once in a while. Otherwise, you create these scenarios where as soon as someone says they don't like you, now they're not my friend anymore, or now, I have to get out of this relationship. It's important that your kids see that you can be angry or upset with someone and come back when you're calm and make up. I think it's important that they see us make up as much as they see us fight.
Yeah, that's really key, because too many people try to hide the makeup part, but that's where appropriate makeup. Kids need to see that makeup, because if they've only seen the fighting part, they're off balance. I think what's really important too is we say it's okay. I always give permission for parents to go, "Oh, Mommy is really mad right now," and to say, "I don't like what you're doing," rather than you as a person, "I don't like what you're doing." So, all right, let's take the next question. My husband thinks the kids are all my responsibility, and he refuses to help. What do I do?
Wow, how'd they get there?
I know,
kidding, right?
Who wants to take a crack at that one?
I know what I would do, but I don't know that it's appropriate.
Right, to say on air.
No, I'm not kidding.
I would think that, having the conversation. I mean, of course he knows he's, the father of the children. I mean, we did this together. So we need to continue to raise them together, because there's, when you have two people and there's a situation, he might look at it differently, and I'm going to look at it differently. But when we work together as a team, then, we kind of help to resolve the situation. So trying to, if you know your spouse, try to figure out how to just really communicate with that person and try to bring him onto your side in a good way, and you know.
One thing that I've seen us running into problems with is the cultural issues, because in some of the old countries, the woman was responsible for all the discipline or the house and everything, so that the male could go out and work, because he was generally to bring in the income. And I think what that causes a problem, especially when they come over here and they're still in the cultural mindset of, you're the woman, you take care of it. And I think the challenge we've seen is talking to him is not going to work. It may take years of therapy to get him to see it from a different point of view. What do you think, Kian?
I think divorce is really expensive, and it's a mighty big enough hammer on a lot of unengaged mothers and fathers to pay attention to their family and to get focused and core centered on their family unit. Whatever originally brought them together, there was something there that brought them together. Divorce is an awful thing for a kid to have to go through. And if it can be avoided, I'm Pollyanna. I'm like, try your best, but better be on the playing field to try. If one party doesn't show up, and it isn't always the man, it's very quietly also becoming absent wives and mothers. So
I think that we become very judgmental of each other as a culture too, and I think that a lot of fathers will disengage if they feel that everything that they're doing is wrong. So if you're willing to say, point out the things that he's doing right, and just like we do with our children, if you want to see it repeated, recognize it and reward it. So if there's things that he's doing right, recognize and reward those things, and you'll see them grow.
It's a good point. In my book, Love, Limits, and Lessons, one of the things I wrote about was, before you throw the towel in, find out a little bit more about his background. Why would he be laying on the couch and expecting you to do everything? Perhaps his mother did that, and he's just following along. He may need some help in breaking him out of that to bring him into more of a parenting partnering role, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, let's try the next one. Some are saying we should not be using the word bully when labeling aggressive behavior.
I think that we should calm down on the word quite a bit. I think that we've taught our children that every conflict is bullying, and that's not always the case. Sometimes teasing is teasing. Sometimes somebody knocks your hat off on the bus and it's not bullying, it's just you got your hat knocked off on the bus. I think that when we label children too early, they have two choices. They can either own that label or they can fight that label, and too many kids are owning that label because it gives them strength and prestige, and nobody's going to pick on the bully. Especially
if we use it, like you said, too early in the preschool years, when aggressive behavior is kind of a normal thing. So there's a lot of people who feel we shouldn't be using bully, and I see that point very easily, right?
I think the the bully campaign, the raising awareness about it has been beneficial in schools, and it's changed the climate in a lot of ways. But the sole focus of children as bullies has absolutely, I believe, taken away from adult bullies and domestic violence and bullying in the workplace. I hear a lot of stories about EAP referrals coming in with bullying in the workplace. These are adult bullies, and there is no discussion about that because all the focus is on child bullies. So it's done the adult bullies a big favor.
I bet you what we're looking at down the road is potentially the word bully becoming a dirty word, and people are going to be using it less, maybe going to aggressive behavior or some sort of alternative to get rid of the label. All right, let's take a look at the next one. How can I make sure my special needs child is not bullied?
That's a tough one.
That is.
You have to, for me, we have to have that conversation. When I noticed his behavior changing, I had to go into a conversation about what's going on in school. We had to communicate constantly with the teachers, because with special needs kids, what I've found is that they're not always aware that they're being bullied. Someone could be paying a lot of attention to them in a negative way, but they still perceive that as positive behavior, so they see that child as their friend even though the kid's picking on them. So staying in constant communication with the teachers is really the most important thing, and of course with your child.
Definitely. I completely agree with that, because it is a difficult situation. In my son, who's a special needs child, he's nonverbal. So it's very difficult for me to know when is he getting, picked on, or they're making fun of him. But I try to stay aware of what's going on, going to visit the schools, just being in contact with those that are close to him, that interact with him. Just really keep your eyes open, because it's difficult sometimes to know, especially if your child is nonverbal.
All right, we got time just for one more real quick one. As a single mother, I find it extremely difficult to be able to take care of myself. I have no one to help me. What would we say to her?
Get a good support system. You know, girlfriends that might come in, even if you have some males that are part of, I don't know what, some organizations that sometimes they help to raise, or just to come in if there's an absent father.
Big brothers, big sisters, or
like
something?
a mom's club or something like that. I mean, really, let's sit down and look at your circle of friends, you know. Do you really have no one to support you, or are you not willing to ask people for help?
Church, or start going to a church or something. Big brothers, big sisters have a really long waiting list, unfortunately.
Do they really?
It's just like almost inaccessible. It's horrible that there's not enough volunteers.
But I would be willing to bet that there are enough people in your own school district, in your own neighborhood, that are feeling the same way that you are. So reach out to people. I think it's more of an ego thing, and it's more of a fear-based thing
So
than a reality
maybe
thing.
like a social anxiety.
Absolutely.
Well, that about does our time for this. I really appreciate it. We got some really good input. Thank you so much for helping me answer the questions. We hope that parents will continue to send their emails in, and I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill.
On today's show, we discuss the best techniques for communicating with children, the challenges of raising a special needs child, and the impact of girls having an absent father, and the issues it creates for them as young women in adulthood. I hope you'll tune in to future episodes of this program as I offer more tools to help you rebuild your parenting toolbox as an awesome parent or teacher. Now, if you're watching this on DVD or online, and you'd like to get in your local public access channel, contact my office to find out how. Making the world a better place to live begins at home as engaged, encouraged, and masterful parents. I'm Bill Corbett. I'll see you the next time on Creating Cooperative Kids.
I'll go to sleep with the light.